Okay. Okay. I don't think I have too many things. Okay. Yeah, I think. Let me just make sure I get image on. Okay. Alright, yeah, I just put in starting soon on on uh, uh on X.
Okay.
So yeah, just kind of giving the notice I'm going live. Um, okay,
Oh, I should probably go retweet that. Oh, whoops.
you're fine. And I don't think I have anything else on my unless there's something that you want to take care of.
Uh, nope, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay. 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 Now I'm gonna go ahead and get this started. Let me see what this looks like. Oh shoot, that's. Let me see what this looks like. Oh my goodness gracious golly god, I don't know why I'm starting with that. Hi everybody. I my today oh wait, hold on. Let me pull this out of the way. I don't know why this is here. Why is this. Yeah, I have. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't need to be on. Okay. Hold on. Put this on full screen. Yes, yes. Here with Miss Bonnie Harris-Lowe. Is that how it's pronounced? Bonnie Harris-Lowe? Just like
Yep,
that?
that is correct.
Um, and the thing is, I met Bonnie at DreamHack. It was back in uh, late May. You were showing off your latest game, which we'll get to. But how how is it being a game developer in this space in this year?
Oof. If I could sum it up in one word,
What?
that is it. Um, yeah, it's rough. I'm seeing, people on LinkedIn who are talking about having been job searching for over a year, having been laid off in games. It still seems like into the layoffs and studio closures and site. Just about every time I open LinkedIn, it seems like there's been another one. So it's really challenging right now, and that actually is kind of what led me to start Basking Bee, because I got my first job in games at a startup in 2020, and that studio laid me off in May 2023, and then it shut down in June 2023. And most people I know from that studio are still looking for work, but after that happened, I decided I was going to just seeing the situation with layoffs and knowing that I'd be competing for full-time roles with people with like twice or more experience than me, since I'd only been working in the industry for 3 years.
Mm,
And again, the studio shut down before we could ship a game, so I felt like I didn't have too much to show for it. So I decided to strike out on my own with a little bit of advice from an industry mentor who said I should establish an LLC for personal liability protection if I was going to freelance. And I decided to just go ahead and make the leap to trying to do a co-op style game studio because I had always my starting a game studio was in my long-term plan, but with the state of the industry being what it is, everything is in so much upheaval. I was like, you know what, let's just fast forward a little.
Oh, sorry, you broke up there for a second.
Oh
Like,
no, where'd you lose me?
well, you were kind of breaking up just a little bit, but then but I mean, I heard you for the most part. It was just at the end was when there was a froze. Wait, could you try saying something?
Okay, I am gonna just run back my
All right.
last couple
No,
sentences, or
I
not.
no. I hear you now. It was like
Okay, okay.
I you're saying everything, but just like right as you were ending. I thought like I lost connection with you, but no, I didn't. So that's good. That's good.
Okay, yeah, my
That's good.
internet is trash, so if that happens again, then it might
Your
happen again.
internet, your internet is not trash. Okay, let's get that out of the way. All right, all right. Don't put that on yourself. Okay, that's it's
Okay.
it's the nature of God. That's
My
well.
connection will hold.
Do you think because you're the second actually no third black game dev guest I've had on and you mentioned that you had to work twice or three times as hard. Um, do you feel like those opportunities, like the challenge of getting those opportunities, does race factor in, or is it simply because it's just so competitive?
Uh, yeah, that's not exactly what I said, but I do have a comment on that generally, so I'm going to clarify my previous statement and then answer that.
Okay.
So the last thing I said was that I am in a talent pool. If I were to be looking for full time employment in the games industry right now, there are people with two or three or more times more experience than I
Mm,
have because
gotcha.
I do have a master's degree in interactive game design, but I only have 3 years of industry experience in Project Parallel. The demo for it is my technically my first shipped title.
Mm,
So that's what I meant by the talent pool being so competitive right now, because you're
gotcha.
seeing
Okay.
like, yeah, people who've been in the industry for like 10 plus years getting laid off right alongside the newbies like me. But as far as what you asked about opportunities concerning race, this is an experience that I had in college that I like to talk about. Personally, I feel like I've been very privileged in my upbringing. Grew up in a predominantly white area and was in like honors and AP classes all throughout high school. And my parents were able to pay my way through, or I got scholarships to go to college and everything. So I feel personally that I came from a very privileged position relative to other Black people. But when I was in college, I did an internship program with a documentary filmmaking and creative program for high schoolers in the area where I went to undergrad, and it was at a predominantly Black high school. And the semester that I interned there, it was very experimental. The kids were doing projects with dancing and music and photography and even gaming. They just had a lot of really diverse interests. But then when I went to their showcase at the end of the following semester, they had made a bunch of videos about basically how hard it is to be Black and growing up in the hood and all that.
Mm,
And they had, when I was interning there, talked about that a little bit because some of them were like people returning to the program from previous years. And they were saying that, they're tired of making content like that, but that's because that's the content that the program sponsors want to see. That is the content
mm,
that they are forced to keep making. So that I think that was a pretty gut wrenching example of how opportunities to expand into things like games and think beyond the scope of just like what we stereotype Black people to be is like
mm.
how that's limited from even children.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you are having positive experiences, especially. And I guess the reason why I even brought that because even my last interview, people wanted to know about at least the modeling industry right now. Um, and I know that there are things like even today there are things like Black Voices in Gaming, Black Girl Gamers, and other
Love them.
organizations. Me too. Other organizations to help y'all out. So I'm glad that things are in at least on that end. It's that does not contribute. Uh, Now as far as experience goes, not to continue on with this, but do you because there are AAA studios and there are like AA studios forming every year. Do you look at them like maybe there's an opportunity for me to join that studio if I wanted to like have a plan B, or do you want to go all in on the LLC?
So the current plan is to go all in. I still have my finger on the pulse of like jobs that are getting posted on LinkedIn, but like I said, this has been a dream of mine for several years, probably close to like 8 years now. Um, and so with the industry being in the state that it is, I feel like my backup plan, my I feel like if I were to get a job in games again that was like a full time position, that would probably be down the line if Basking Bee were to fail, which it won't, knock on wood.
Yeah, no, like
um,
that's something that at the end of the day that I at least I want to help encourage is that you are not going to fail. You are going to succeed. Now, because let's look at your Kickstarter. I remember at the beginning when I met you at DreamHack, you mentioned um, that you put your game on Kickstarter. I have
mhm.
looked into also other projects. You have, while this is like your first game that you're shipping on Steam, you did at least would you say you're the designer of this text adventure called Sunseeker?
Oh yeah, that was actually a product of the first game jam that I ever did, which was also in 2023. I think that was like a month or two after I got laid off. So I worked with a small team of people on that, and I was the narrative designer for it. And I really learned a lot of valuable skills in a very short amount of time. It was only a 2 day jam. But yeah, that was a really gratifying project, and I love all the people that I got to work with.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. Like to jump from a text RPG to now this action game with some stealth, with some parkour. That's a big leap, and a very good leap to have. Because I was seeing, and I remember when DreamHack Dallas, you mentioned to me that Project Parallel, your first big game, um, went from Unity to Unreal.
It is about to go into Unreal. So I
Gotcha.
actually, yeah. So I was working on a project when I was still in graduate school, but didn't get to release it until last year because COVID kind of screwed my last semester.
Mm.
um, yeah, but I do have a small team that I have amassed to help with the Unreal transition. And I've been traveling most of June, but now that I'm back, we are starting to ramp up on all of that. We got a lot of great feedback at DreamHack, so we know all of the things that we need to tackle first. And in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna start the Unreal build. So yeah, that's where we're at with that.
Yeah, very interesting to like start a game in one game engine and put it in another. Do you feel like it will look different when you port your project from uh, Unity to Unreal? Like it's gonna have a different art style. Are you going to be able to keep that same essence, but just the code is all Unreal?
Honestly, we're gonna be starting a lot of things from scratch because a big part of the reason we're pivoting away from Unity is because the game engine, the version of Unity is pretty old, and trying to update it to even later versions of Unity just has not worked at all.
Mm.
So that's why we decided. So we were gonna have to start over in a new engine or in a new engine version anyway. And at my last studio, we used Unreal, and I feel like that's becoming more and more industry standard in the last couple of years as well. So we wanted to pivot into that. But one of the people that we have on the team is Jessica, who was my booth mate at DreamHack, and she is a concept artist and is very excited to start drilling down on what our new art style might look like.
Okay, because you put the game on Kickstarter. Now, given anything could happen, even within the last couple hours, because as we're talking and having this interview, the Kickstarter, to my understanding, ends tonight.
It does end tonight. It is not looking like it's going to get funded at the moment. But honestly, it was my first attempt at crowdfunding, and I think there were a lot of things that I could have done better with it. I actually talked to a lot of people at DreamHack who gave me some words of caution about Kickstarter, which I think did kind of like freak me out a little bit, so I didn't promote it as much as I could have. But now
Mm.
that I've, had this first experience with Kickstarter and seeing how much of it is actually marketing before it goes live, I think that's the biggest mistake I made, because my thinking was I already have a demo. I'm going to show it at festivals, and if people who if I could get like, all donations just info, then I'll be Gucci. I'll be good to go. But since it seems like a lot of Kickstarter funding it comes later in the development process and after a long time of promotion and like other content building, that's what we've pivoted to focus on more for the next foreseeable future.
Mm. So, and I'm very glad that you're not giving up on this even after, because what I was gonna say is that there are indie games I've seen that failed on Kickstarter,
Mm-hmm.
and some products they just never see the light of day. Now, some other games they go again and they succeed the second time after learning, or B, they find some way to put the game on early access and release it on
Mm-hmm.
Steam, and then crowdfunding just happens a different way. Um, do you? So we're, I mean, we're 3 hours to go. Where would you see your take two on getting the game funded? You mentioned, having advertisement first.
Yeah, so the current plan is to pursue grant funding. I've already filled out a couple of grant applications and I've got a big stack of other ones to fill out. And I think that'll be helpful to get us out of this early stage of having to sort of rebuild all the core mechanics. Because I think once we're able to polish up the core of the gameplay, which is going to be the parkour movement stuff and the world switching mechanic, then we'll have something that I think will address most of the concerns people have had about the game, but also maintain the things that excite people about it. So, yeah, we're planning to do grant funding to get us through this early stage. And then after that, we still haven't talked about whether we're going to do more crowdfunding or, excuse me, investor funding. I have looked at some like angel investment funds, so that's definitely on the table. But yeah, crowdfunding again, that kind of remains to be seen right now.
Okay, well, this is as long as you know, like this is your vision, and again, we talked to and the importance of Kickstarter crowdfunding because there are even to this day there are a lot of people who are asking about Kickstarter, wanting to start their own stuff on Kickstarter. There's a convention that I know like they're trying to launch on Kickstarter, and they're like, okay, how do we do this? What do we do? What's the right way to
Mm-hmm.
crowdfund? And I like that you are taking this trial, and even if with an error, you are coming back. Like you're not giving up on this because this is. And I mean, I'm showing the Kickstarter page right now. I mean, the whole gameplay element of like switching worlds to bend reality for platforming and stealth. Um, you got something really interesting, and it's just again, you only have the demo out, but I figured with Unreal, you could look at your concepts again, and maybe there might be tools with Unreal that could help you out even more, and maybe there's some other elements that you wanted to add to the game, or do you just kind of want to keep it straightforward? You know, sneak past enemies, solve puzzles, bend through time.
Those are at a high level the core tenets of the game, but we definitely
Yeah.
want to expand on them more in the full version. Like I said, I was working on this game when I was a student, so there was a lot of content that got left on the cutting room floor because we were like, okay, we've got.
That's all right.
And what we managed to do was in probably closer to like 7-ish months because COVID happened and everything kind of just ground to a halt. But yeah, the point being, I still have the original game design document that has other mechanics in it that we didn't get to use. Like, I think on the Kickstarter page, it mentions the teleportation and telekinesis just to kind of enhance that reality bending, world switching aspect of the game. So it's not just you go back and forth and that's it. Just to give you a little bit more agency in what's going on in the environment. And we also want to make the movement mechanics feel a little smoother and a little bit more realistic's the wrong word, but I guess intense, powerful, kinetic. Yeah.
So what even inspired this game? And I figured it's currently called Project Parallel. I can't pronounce myself right. Good Parallel, but I'm sure that's a placeholder, or maybe is that the full title of the game?
Your guess is as good as mine. So I needed to have a title when I pitched it as a student, and it was originally just Parallel, and I did want to change the title, and I got some feedback on that maybe I should change the title, but just the deeper we got into it, that just like it kind of just stuck. But then when I started going for the full launch and like putting it out into the world, I was still kind of on the fence about it. So a friend of mine who works in community management said, well, you could call it Project Parallel, and that could be like a code name. So I was like, oh, okay, that works. But now looking at it, I'm just like Project Parallel. I just think it sounds kind of cool, honestly. So
Okay.
I am still, yeah. So I think it's one of those things where like maybe it'll change, but so far it's stuck like that for like 4 years now. So
Hey, no, it's your vision. If that's the name you want to go, and I mean, besides the name, of course, we mentioned like I think you said Mirror's Edge was one of your inspirations,
hmm
and
yes.
yeah, what about the time bending part? Like, not
So that
yeah.
so this actually came from a short story that I wrote in 2018 about a woman who could switch worlds instantly by just blinking her eyes, and she didn't have like a lot of control over it. So she would just kind of like be bouncing around the universe randomly, more or less. And I wrote it out of, kind of fears about everything that was and continues to go on in the world about, being a young adult and knowing that I have a lot of power to, determine what I want for myself and what I'm going to do with my life and everything, but also feeling so powerless in the grand scheme of everything going on in the world around me. So that's where I kind of channeled that into this idea of switching worlds in a short story. And then I just kept iterating on that honestly, I kept iterating on that for a year until I distilled it down into uh, the project that would eventually become Project Parallel, where the main character does have a little bit more agency over the world switching, and it has a more relational element of the story since it focuses on a family relationship as the core narrative.
Okay, and that's very sweet. Like having something that's even more personal that and having that as your like main focus of the story that kind of brings the authenticity. And yeah, I liked what you get what you had going on in that demo, and I was curious to see like what would that vision look like in Unity or from Unity to Unreal, but you're currently going through that process. Actually, while we're even having this interview right now, you mentioned to me you were about to go off to an event
Yes.
to promote the game some more. Now, knowing that this will be after the Kickstarter page, and marketing is a thing. Like, what are some ways that you will make sure part two, whatever part two looks like, would be more successful?
So instead of advertising the Kickstarter at this next event, which is the Southeast Game Exchange, it's in Greenville, South Carolina. If you're in that area, pull up. Um, uh, Instead, I'm going to be promoting our Discord server and trying to focus on community building and just getting more people together who are excited about the game and who can, kind of feed off of each other and inspire the team even further to keep working on it. Because I feel like everybody that I show this game to it gets excited about it individually, and I would love to get that in a more concentrated place where I could engage with a community of people who want to see this game succeed and might even play a role in, helping us build it in certain ways.
Have you thought of like using social media like TikTok or Threads or all of these other places?
Yes, I do have. I have accounts on Instagram, TikTok, X, Twitter, whichever you want to call it, and Facebook. And I post on them. I posted on them a lot leading up to DreamHack. I'm still getting into the hang of posting regularly because I don't even post on my own social media like that. But things have gone. I think my videos on TikTok have done ever so slightly better than the rest. So I want to start focusing more content there. But I try to cross post as much as I can to promote various things, and I'm really excited for when we have more in Unreal to show to start doing devlogs and potentially even live work sessions.
Okay, that is awesome. You have this whole role plan, and um, the other thing I want to point out is that like when I met you, I also saw you in the because there was Black Voices in Gaming, but there was also
Hmm.
the Society of Play. Are you based around the Dallas area?
No, I'm not. I am in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, okay. Do you know about the Society of Play?
I did get added to their Discord after the event. It seemed like our booth was like the only one in that whole row that was not part of Society of Play at the
Oh,
time.
okay. Oh, okay.
But I did talk
Okay.
to Yeah, I talked to a lot of the people who were involved with it though, and they were all so nice and so welcoming. So I did join their Discord server. Like I said, I've been traveling for most of the month of June, so I haven't gotten to engage with them too much since DreamHack, but I am looking forward to getting to going to their weekly work sessions when I have time.
Well, that's the thing is that's a collective of game developers from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to use another resource of help, some of them have probably had their own Kickstarter stories, or maybe they used Indiegogo. Um, the only reason why I even brought up when you mentioned that you want to go in with the LLC, uh, I that thing with the indie game scene, making a game, of small games. You see so many people work so hard on these games, these very
Mm-hmm.
amazing, innovative, creative games, and they don't really financially make a lot of money. So a lot of them try to look for a second job, look for a day job, even while they're working on the game, and then they'll maybe they'll maybe work out a big AAA company. Do you see yourself getting that point where it's like you want to keep your LLC? Okay, Basket B Games isn't going anywhere. That's your vision. That's your child. But money is money, and you want to make sure you
Mm-hmm.
can afford to keep working on the games that you want. Do you see yourself adding that onto the plate, or do you feel like you're good without it?
It kind of already is on the plate. So, like I said,
Yeah.
way at the beginning, I initially started an LLC so that I could do freelance work. And so,
Mm.
the business model that I'm envisioning for Basking Bee is offering freelance services to other individual developers, other indie studios, even AAA studios who need to outsource some work. And I'm actually already doing that right now. I've got a writing job on the side and a level design job, both part time, but part time does add up. So, and I'm also working on Project Parallel in tandem. So I think the dream would be to be able to take on smaller amounts of contract work over time and focus more on internal development if that revenue stream is successful. But yeah, the overall plan for the company is to make our main money for probably a while from freelance contracting, which will also help grow our portfolio, grow our reputation, to get us that bigger audience, so that when we do launch our games, more people will know about them and perhaps be inclined to buy them.
Well, that's the way, and I have seen what you mentioned about freelance, because in between Project Parallel and Sunseeker, there's Tales from the Minus Lab, and there was a
Yes.
client. So I like that you're using your website almost like a portfolio of, like, this is the stuff that we do, for example. And then in addition to Project Parallel, unannounced projects, codename Autumn. So you have like a roadmap already ahead, which I really like. Is that you're all in on this, and that's someone who's just really passionate. I hope that passion never dies out. That you only get more excited about game development, and it benefits you positively, of course.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it is a little bit challenging sometimes with the landscape of games being so bleak, like we talked about earlier. But every time that I sit down and I actually start doing the work and stop being anxious about it, it just feels so nice. So I'm gonna take that with me. So thank you.
Well, so you're already. It looks like you're already familiar with even the different distribution places. Like, oh shoot, did we lose connection? Oh wait, try saying something.
Hello,
Okay,
can you
there
hear
you
me?
go.
Okay.
um, but it looks like you're already familiar with the distribution, because you have stuff on itch.io, for example,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you released a demo on Steam. Did you get people downloading the demo? Like, do you get any, like, internal data, like, oh my gosh, this many people played the demo, or seeing comments on the discussion or the Steam page?
So yeah, I have seen some comments on the Steam page. A lot of them were informing us about like technical issues, which have since been resolved. So those were a lot of like early things of just like bugs that we didn't catch in that final round before playtesting or before releasing. So we were able to go back and fix those, which was good. And oh, as far as the information on how many people have like downloaded and played it, I know that you can access that information. I have not personally checked. I think one of my biggest challenges as far as running a company is I have a lot of trouble being like engaged online. So I kind of like to just put stuff there and then kind of forget about it when I really need to be like doing deeper dives into that information and utilizing it better. But I do have a friend who works in business development who I have asked a lot of questions about like company building and things like that. So I think now that I'm kind of just thinking out loud at this point, but he might be a
That's
good
it.
person to talk to about how to use that information once I get it.
Okay. Um, Now, this kind of teeters on marketing, and I don't mean
Okay.
to bring in like but because in at DreamHack or DreamCon, there actually is a panel because they released the schedule. There's a panel that about uh, uh, black game devs, and
Hmm.
I'll throw a scenario out. There's a game called Azu. I don't know if you heard of the game. I think it's Azu's Awakening. No, Tales of Azu.
Tales of
No,
Kazu.
no,
You
no, no,
mean
no. Hold on, I
was it
have the name
Zhao
up.
Tales of Kinzara by any
There,
chance?
Zhao Tales of Kansara. That what? I don't know why I just effed that up. But the point I want to make is it was a cool game. Uh, the developer got harassment because of DEI. And you're looking at
Typical.
yeah, but you're looking at ways to promote. Well, do you? I mean, you mentioned like right now everything's been great for you as far as that goes. You haven't had to deal with any of that, which is good. But when you get further on to the game, which I know this is ways away of thinking, but do you see yourself needing any of these consulting groups, or do you feel like you can go without them? Do they play an importance to the development timeline?
Consulting groups, as in
So, like for example, uh, Black
like
Girl Gamers
sensitivity
has
consultants.
Black Girl Gamers has a consulting group, for example. So, like game devs, they can actually they have information. I was on their website, but like basically, there's different groups out like Sweet Baby Inc. I don't mean to jump along words.
Hmm.
Sweet Baby Inc. or Black Girl Gamers, and like if say a developer wants any sort of assistance. Now it's normally for diversity, but they even mention like help with like game development with narrative writing. Do you? I guess this is long winded, but what I meant to say is, do you feel like you need that sort of like extra help in your game project down the road, or do you want to go without that?
I would like to go without for as long as possible for financial reasons. Like the team currently is 4 people, and we're all doing this for free in our spare time.
Yeah.
So we're working with very limited resources, and I would love to be able to have deeper collaborations. I would love to work with Black Girl Gamers. Honestly, I follow so much of their content,
Yeah.
but and when I actually heard about Sweet Baby Inc. And saw that it was like a narrative design and story writing consulting firm, I just thought that was a really awesome thing, and that's a service that I now offer through Basking Bee. But yes, all that
Gotcha.
to say,
Okay.
right now at this stage in production, we don't really need that. Later down the line, it's going to depend a lot on our scope, the other people that we are able to recruit. On a company level, but I would like to grow the team internally as much as possible before seeking outside help like that.
Okay, and I mean that in just in the most positive light because I know I started with like
Oh yeah, of course.
just because there are certain people out there that they're BS about DI and all that, and I know that that's one of the topics in that panel. So
Hmm.
just to lightly touch on that because that's a thing. Uh, but you mentioned that you're also consulting because not to go back with Basking Bee, but you helped with
No,
level
please. I got my
design.
B shirt on and everything.
It's yeah, that's an adorable shirt. I love that. But
Thank you.
um, for your experience of consulting that you've done yourself, as far as like
Mm-hmm.
freelance. Uh, for someone who is not for someone who doesn't know about that and they want to sell the store, what does that even entail? Like, what would you say from your experience, game development consulting would be?
Like to like define it or give
Yeah.
tips for people who want to do it.
Well, like what you basically do, for example, like the process of freelancing out to a developer in need, or just coming in to kind of help with something. Like, for example, to go back to Tales of the Minus Lab, role
Mm-hmm.
was level design.
Oh yeah, so Tales from the Minus Lab is a really cool project. Honestly, you can read more about it on the website that's linked there for Tinted Stardust. That's the studio. But for that, I was brought in to basically make the tutorial levels. So for me, what that entailed was paper prototyping and then doing gray boxing and white boxing in Unreal. And I would meet with the creative director once a week to talk about our goals for that area of the game, do like basically vibe checks as far as like what the aesthetic elements that we want to hit are, so I could incorporate as much of that into the gray boxing as possible. So yeah, it really just the only distinction that I would make between that particular job and a full-time job is that I'm only working on it 10 hours a week.
Okay. Okay. So, I know you said that down the road you would prefer, if you had that power, if you had that money to just work. I think anybody would just work as a game developer, work in their own
Mm-hmm.
studio, and have all that. But if is like the route of consulting, is that like a passing time? Like, this is just what I need to do to get by, or you're like, well, maybe I want to be a game developer, but I also want to be a game dev consultant.
Wouldn't say it's passing. I know I mentioned that it'd be nice to not have to do it as much later down the
Right.
line, but I think it's a smart thing to continually incorporate, just in case something goes wrong in the future. Maybe we release a title and it's a complete flop, and it would be nice to still have that freelance money coming in so that everybody who works at the studio is not suddenly screwed. But the other nice
Yeah.
thing about it is that I can pursue projects as a freelancer that interest me and that work with my schedule and my bandwidth and everything, which is really crucial right now since I'm the only full-time employee at Basking Bee.
Mm.
But in the future, I'm looking forward to being able to take on clients as a team. So, like, you could bring in me, an artist, an animator, and a programmer to work on your game, and we could all work on that together and just like expand that spirit of collaboration.
Okay. Now you mentioned you worked with itch.io, Steam, but you're also living in a time where there's so many platforms, so many launchers, and
Mm-hmm.
discoverability in Steam today is probably difficult because you can go online and there's 50 games being released every day. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Most of them porn, but hey, you know what? Whatever sells. I don't buy the stuff though.
No shame if you
I,
no shame to anybody
I'm
who does
no,
who may be watching.
no, I mean, I'm not joking. I mean, somebody like, oh, now you're being no, no, go on Steam, Look at all the furry, the my NSW. I don't. I'm acting like an old man. I've been acting like Joe Biden's cousin this whole time. Game development DI. I need to stop before I really start on that. But
No, you're good.
no,
It's a little late. We're working through it though.
no. I'm like acting silly for no reason. That's part of the stick. But you got a GOG now. You got good old gaming. Right. You have Epic Games Store, which, speaking of money, Epic Games has this whole thing like we're going to pay developers to be exclusive or time exclusive on our platform, and they're going to get more of the revenue than on Steam.
Mm.
Um, I mean, you got Steam, but like you got all these things to work with just on PC alone. Then, of course, no, everybody would be thinking about consoles. And there was a time where indie developers would say they've seen more success on the Switch than on Steam. That climate could change now, but do you see that in your vision to put your games, your work on multiple platforms? Not in. Let's not forget iOS, Android, Apple Arcade. So you've got
Mm.
more options than ever to sell your game somewhere.
Yeah, we can put it everywhere.
You could put it on the
Honestly,
black market. You could put it on torrent, download ROMs.
it's just making me think of all those memes of like people running Doom on like calculators and pregnancy tests and stuff. Are you familiar
What?
with those?
I'm on
You can
pregnancy
run you
tests
can you can run Doom on a digital pregnancy test.
on a pr- on a pr- on a and
Just Google it later. I don't know how well it runs, but
I love Doom, but okay, well I'd seen
I think
God
I
now.
short circuited you there. Yeah, but in all seriousness though, I grew up on console gaming, even though now I have two pretty powerful gaming PCs. I didn't really start
Two?
working my way through my yes.
Oh my
One's a little
goodness.
old though. But I didn't really
Okay.
start working my way through my Steam library until I got my Steam Deck because I just playing on a computer is not like my primary mode of gaming. So I would absolutely love to be able to get Project Parallel and future titles onto consoles, but um, I think that's going to come a little bit later unless we
Yeah.
can sort out a really good publishing deal before then.
Now, what would be your thoughts on that? Because I know that was one of the options you threw out there was working for a publisher. Have you talked to any indie game publishers?
There is one that I have begun talking with a little bit slowly because of being on so much and everything, but I've been asking them for advice, and they offer a lot of different kinds of support for developers. So since we're still like so early stages with the I guess you could call it the reboot of Project Parallel,
Mm.
we haven't fully discussed what a deal could look like as far as getting it on multiple platforms, but that is most definitely an option.
Okay. Well, so w- and this kind of goes into all this planning that you have for your games. It's also important to not overwork yourself. So how do you balance your life as a game dev? I mentioned you also enjoy playing games. How do you have that balance where you're not burning yourself out on your passion?
Oof, that is a great question. I think it's difficult to turn off the game design brain when I am playing video games, especially since I went to school and studied that for like 7 years.
No.
Um, but at the same time, the act of being able to sit down and just play, I think it's just kind of naturally relax. I think it's just naturally relaxing, you know. Sometimes I play. I play a lot of games that aren't like what I am working on necessarily, but also games that I find inspiring. And I think just taking the time to sit down and enjoy enjoy taking part in this pastime that is all about just, I don't know how else to say this, but like play is just such something that is so core and important to, I would say, the human experience, but a lot of animals play too. It's just like an innate instinctual thing that just helps us all stay sane and stay as we go through this turbulent life. Um, and so, yeah, like obviously when I'm making games, I'm working, but when I'm not, I just play as much as possible, both with video games and in other aspects of life, like, dancing while I'm doing chores or singing at open mic nights or anything like that.
Open mic
Going
nights
on walks. Oh, yeah.
at bars, people drink and all that.
Yeah, actually, the one that I like to go to the most is at a local distillery.
Oh, okay. So it's that old-fashioned bar place. So it's not where all the cool kids are. It's like where all the people in the distillery putting they're squeezing the barrel of the root beer. Okay, now I'm acting.
You're not wrong though. The crowd there is a little bit older than me, but they're all very nice and
That's good. They're nice old people.
supportive.
Look,
Yeah.
lovely young women singing up there. I can't wait to do that myself. Now I'm gonna sound ageist, and I'm not ageist, uh, but that's good that you're out. Well, see, and you being young into this, and still having fun out there. I bring this up because, older generations of game developers would tell you, and I don't know if they have, but all these game companies have also induced crunch, having their developers work plus 40 hours, like 60, 80, one,
Hmm.
even 100. Um, and I would watch some of these developers say that that's part of the game. Like, if you want to be a game developer, you want to be an animator, you want to be anything, you have to make that sacrifice. You have to keep working. You have to put it's a 60-hour week job. But then you'll get stories like, I'll put for example, Slime Rancher. The studio behind that said their team only works 40 hours a week.
Hmm.
Um, do you feel like it's a good thing to put yourself in that position of working 60 hours? Like, you owning a team and there's like three other people, do you tell your team, hey, we need to get this demo done by this date, so I'm going to have to ask you to come in, work 10 or 20 more hours? I know it's not the same state as like a AAA studio, uh, but I mean, what is your feelings on that? Being young into this.
So since my team currently, all of us are, part timers and we're not getting paid for the work we're doing on Project Parallel, I can't, ask them to, or I can't ask them and reasonably expect them to like double or triple the hours that they are working on this thing with me for nothing. But even if I could, I wouldn't. I do not believe that crunch is something that should be enforced. I will say I think it works better for some people than others. Like the programmer that I'm working with, he loves programming. If he could, he would do it 24/7. And so, I actually encourage him to take breaks, but he'll be like, "No, I got it. I'm having the time of my life."
Okay.
Whereas, I'm neurodivergent, and so it's a kind of, it's a lot of days it's a tough balancing act trying to make sure I'm doing enough work but also taking enough breaks so that my brain will work properly. And also there's certain days where I can sit down for like 10 hours consecutively in a single day and just get so much done, and there's days where it's just not in the cards. So I think I'm a big proponent of generally not forcing people to do crunch ever. I'm not going to say that it is never going to happen. I know, like, if we run into a deadline and there's something that I'm responsible for, I'm not above doing it myself, because that's, I'll feel the need to take responsibility for not managing my time better previously. But yeah, as far as like telling other people to do it just because that's part of the game, I think we need to change that game.
Now that's interesting. You mentioned being neurodivergent. That's because now next month is uh, neurodivergent Pride Month too. Um, and I'm neurodivergent myself. I'm an autistic adult doing this,
Mm-hmm.
and which explains the sometimes I may act like an old man because I mess up on my words. I don't know. Um, but uh, does that because I don't because I'm even trying to think like I've met a few neurodivergent game devs, but it's still awesome to know there are people like you out there who is neurodivergent and even taking on a leadership role. That is a big. I mean, you're taking on an ambitious task. Just even being CEO, starting a project that again Kickstarter may have failed, but look, you're going at it the second time, but you still have a big vision ahead of you of what you want the game to be. So you have just so many paths that haven't been taken yet. Like you're still
Mm-hmm.
starting out, but the confidence and encouragement that you got, that is awesome. Um, because not everybody who's neurodivergent will have that confidence that you got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely am lucky to have a strong support system. Like my booth mate at the upcoming Southeast Game Exchange, my mom's gonna come with me and help out
I
because
love that. Okay,
yeah,
see,
yeah, because she's local and she has been probably the biggest fan and biggest supporter of this project, both materially as far as like giving me a little bit of seed money to get some help from an engineering company to help polish it up before it launched on Steam, since since programming is not my primary strong suit. Um, and she's been learning how to. I think you may have. I don't know if I remember if you got one of the buttons that we were giving out at DreamHack, the little
mm,
Project Parallel buttons that were shaped like the in-game collectibles. She learned how to 3D print in like a week and just made hundreds of those for us to hang out, or for us to hand out. So yeah, now she's coming to this con with me, and I think I think she maybe wants to see this game succeed even more than I do. And so it's
oh,
really valuable having that type of support from family. And yeah, I have a lot of friends who joined my Discord server right when I launched it as well. All the people who are working on it with me are friends from probably like excuse me, my closest friends from the studio that we all worked at together that went under. So yeah, I have
mm,
a great network around me.
that is awesome. So you have look. I mean, you already know. Like, you have the support. You have at least a roadmap of what you want. You have it all figured out. And even if months later, where you may hit a roadblock, just know that you are capable of achieving, making this game the best that it can be, the best that you want it to be, and telling this story, this which we didn't really touch too much on that, but just the whole world building. I mean, yeah, you could also add you have a black female main character, and that's always going to tick boxes. But I mean, coming out of genuineness, uh, and even the design of the said character, like the art direction. I haven't touched on the art, but you have like a cell shaded art. At least that was the
Hmm.
that when looking at the visuals of the original game. Um, do you is it just for this game that you want to go with the cell shaded artwork, or uh, is it just is it just a choice for this game specifically?
You mean for the demo versus the full version, or for Project Parallel versus future games?
For Project Parallel versus future games.
Oh, I think it's definitely going to be on a case by case basis. For example, that codename Autumn project on the website, that's going to be a visual novel. So
Okay.
we, yeah. So as far as cell shading goes, I know there's like 2D versus 3D cell shading, but
Right.
I think it's there's a lot more room to. I think there's a lot more room to play with styles depending on the vibe and feel of the game that we are making. And so for that one, it's going to be, I think, a little bit. It's going to be a little bit more lighthearted. So we might lean more into like brighter colors, maybe like I don't know, just spitballing, maybe a watercolor style.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, definitely that's going to be more case by case rather than using this one game as a roadmap for how all of our games are going to look.
And you also brought up fully animated cutscenes. Like, do you have like an animator to do like fully 3D animation, or was this another like this is something we'd like to do?
On the Kickstarter, I put it as something that we would like to do because we do have an animator. Emphasis on and we have one animator.
Mm,
And again, since we're all part time, that's something that I would like to be able to pay him for, especially since it's like a story heavy game. Having cutscenes is going to be really important, but in the demo, there's still images and they work just fine. So
okay.
I think there's a certain charm about them as well, and like how the artists from my school team, how they incorporated detail into those and conveyed emotion even without movement. So, but yeah, ideally, fully animated cutscenes will make it into the full version, regardless of whether or not we get Kickstarter funding. Because again, I am looking for grants and angel investors and things like that as well.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just really excited for you, Bonnie.
Thanks.
And you know what? And I'm not gonna hit you with this, but you being a gamer too, you probably know about this platform called Humble Bundle.
Mm-hmm.
So we are sponsored by Humble Bundle, humblebundle.com, and you know every show is sponsored exclamation mark humble to get 20% off any game on PC or Switch. They're having the schools out sales, so there's some games that you missed out on or you haven't gotten yet. You can get them at a discount, but 10% goes back to Pawn Press. So not only are you supporting Humble Bundle, but you're also supporting Pawn Press. So that's just a quick little shout out to that. But um, and and I just want to say, just kind of as we leave off on Project Peril, um, I I think is amazing. What you like when I played the demo, I was really into the art. And it was awesome. Like you know, there's another game out there with a black female lead, but just so even with this like the art style, because I said like self shaded, it kind of I don't know if you watched this show, Cubics. It was
Oh,
on
I don't
like
think I've even heard of that.
okay, so like look at me being a nerd. But it was this show that ran on Fox for a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
it had this specific like white like utopian, like everything's like bright colors, like when the main character, I don't know if you have a name for her yet, where she
Oh, her
jumps
name's
on
Nola.
Nola, where Nola jumps on one of the platforms and changes from dark colors to bright colors, and I'm thinking about like the city in that, and it's a really old show. It was back when CG was just starting out.
Oh
um
yeah, I'm looking at pictures of it right now. I definitely.
yeah, yeah, so I I know that that's an obscure like a deep cut, but like the stuff like that would air on Fox or Jetix, for example, like that's some of the things that like
Mm.
this is kind of remind me of, and like that era of like cartoons.
Those.
Oh, what were you saying?
Oh, you just froze for a second, but you're back now. Continue.
Oh, sorry. Oh no, I was talking about like that those era of like animation on like Jetix
Mm-hmm.
and Fox, like that. I guess you want to say future punk, but kind of still had like a anime inspired style, because that's what Cubix was. It was like an American
Mm-hmm.
anime, or it was a Canadian anime like thing. Um, but yeah,
Was Code Lyoko also Canadian?
no, that's another one. Code Lyoko. That was French, but
Oh,
that's another
okay.
like that specific early 2000s style. That
Yeah, as I was looking at the Cubics art, one of the characters I was looking at, I was like, "You look like Ulrich from Code Lyoko," which is what made me think of it.
yeah. Um. So as we leave off on this, what advice do you have for the next game dev, for someone, especially for black game devs, is someone who is just starting to get into game development, knowing that you are young into this too, but if someone's younger than you, for example.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. I
Oh,
think. Oh, hello.
oh, hi, Karim Cheese. How's it going? Thank you for the follow.
Oh, yay.
Wait, yeah, yay. Wait, you know Karim?
Oh no, I'm not watching the stream because I don't want my I don't want my
Right.
bandwidth to crash. I just heard you got a
I was
follow, and
like,
I was like, oh
hi,
yeah, good for
hi.
you.
Oh, you know what? You know what? I think because I role play. I anyway, that's not relevant right now. But what?
It could
Yeah.
be.
What? Wait. What? What?
I was.
What are you? Where do? Wait. What? Whoa. 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 Whoa.
I don't
What
know
are
what
you
kind of
talking
roleplay
about?
you were referring to, but I went
Grand Theft Auto.
LARPing 2 weeks ago, so that's
Oh,
what I was.
LARPing.
That's what my brain
Oh,
went to.
I thought you're like it could be, and I'm like, whoa, whoa. I'm not about to bang Karim Cheese. I don't know that dude.
My bad. I realized how that
We might.
sounded a little bit too late, but
I
I've
mean, we
got LARP
might.
brain rot, so I was
I,
like,
I mean, we might hit it up one day. We might go to the bar, and then we might uh, this has nothing to do with
okay, advice,
yes,
advice.
advice.
Circling back, circling way back. Um, I think honestly, I think oh gosh, there's I'm trying to figure out how to word it just right. I think the thing that I kept coming back to throughout all this is having support, whether that's from my family, from the people that I went to grad school with, the people from my old company. Um, I don't think as an island I would have the confidence to do what I am doing now. So I would definitely say find people who support you and who believe in you, people who want to help you, even if they don't know how yet. Like my mom didn't know how to 3D print before last month. But that's something that, she did because she wanted to see me succeed. So just people who want to see you do well and who will support you in whatever way they can are going to be essential to your growth. I would say as essential as learning the skills that you're going to need through whether that's online tutorials or going to school like I did or anything like that. Yeah, get your people.
That's an important way to look at it. But again, just to god dang it! I'm thrown out a bit by god dang cheese. Thinking about but I'm proud of you, girl. Like you're gonna do great. All right. Project
Thank you
Pearl.
so much.
And I want to thank my guests, Bonnie Harris-Lowe, and I will also plug in her website. So if you all want to follow the project or the process of game development with Miss Harris, you can go to her website, baskinbgames.com, and try out some of her games that she's worked on. Again, one was released on itch.io. And of course, follow Project Pearl as it shapes development. And I wish you the best of luck on your next convention adventures. You got this. You're gonna do great. This game is gonna succeed. It's gonna be the best of it. You know what? We talked about Grand Theft Auto. Grand Theft Auto 6 has nothing on Project Pearl. You might as well cancel that game. That's.
Oh my gosh.
No, I don't mean to put you like that.
No, you're good. I mean the hype is helpful.
The hype is helpful. For those of you just tuning in for the first time, I'm Pawns Press. I do a lot of advocacy for BLM, LGBTQ. So I do a lot of interviews with various Black creatives, and of course my guest tonight, Bonnie. But we do this every week. As Mr. Cheese points out, I do GTA RP. I play Matt and Mariah McDonald in G5M and Euro. Actually, I was going to go into RP after this, but yeah, so next stream will be Tuesday. I think it's 7 p.m. Yeah, 7 p.m. Central Standard, which is 8 p.m. EST. In the meantime, this is it. This is the end of the interview. I will go ahead and let me see who I'm going to get this out to. And thank you for... Oh, shoot. Okay, let me see who I can get this out to. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and raid. Kelly... She's role playing as a raccoon. Let's just do that. Katie. Hold on. K.
What is going on? Are you good, dude?
I'm having stroke trying. Hold on. Yo, I'm a goofball. Just let you know that I'm a sweetheart, but also a goofball. So this is not. I'm not making fun of anybody's name. I just pronounce things because autistic life. Hold on. Let me get this over to Kaylee, and thank you all for tuning in. Let me go ahead and get her name. She's playing an indie game right now. Role playing as a raccoon. So we're gonna wish her luck on that, and yeah, I might stream Monday. No, I'm gonna keep it to Tuesday. We're gonna do Tuesday. All right, Tuesday 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Again, Pawns Press anywhere or on Twitter at CheesePawns64. But again, thank you all for tuning in and have a great rest of the night.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, they seem to be happy. Hi. Oh wow, hi! Thank you so much, Pawns Press, for the raid. Thank you. Hope you had a good stream today. I think I caught what you were streaming. I did see you were streaming earlier, but I don't know.